And it's great to see all of you guys here. I see we got 34 people here right now. So wherever you are in the world, good morning, good afternoon. I think we have quite a diverse group from different parts of the world. So great to have you all on this call. What I wanted to do today is I wanted to cover with you a few important topics, which I believe a lot of you are thinking. Most importantly, what can we expect to happen in the next coming weeks and the next coming months when it comes to the CSR plastic credit in general, and also obviously for the Amplivo business and the long-term vision of our operations. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to share my screen and just walk you through a few topics over here. These are more like talking points, but I'll just use them in the background. Thomas, I wanted to ask, there's no translation happening right now. We're doing all in English, right?
Yeah, it's only English speaking leaders, and it's only leaders. Yeah, everybody's trained and everybody's actively engaged. It's not customers.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. So let me just share my screen here. Now, good. Can you confirm if you can see my screen?
We can see both of your slides, the current one and the next one, just so you know.
Oh, you can see that one. I got a couple of different screens over here, so I don't know how that's gonna work out. But let's anyway, that's fine. Let's go with this one.
All right.
You guys are leaders, so you already can see the next slide then. That's good. We'll go like that. I'm not gonna start taking time now to adjust this one. This is just for you guys to have some talking points. So let's talk a little bit about what to expect to happen with the original CSR in 2025. So obviously, as you have heard a number of times, the final amount of the circulation that will ever be allocated, ever be out there, will be finalized in the beginning of January. And that basically means that we are gonna know on the 1st of January, based on the final sales of the plastic waste removal service that will still be done at the last day of the year, we will know eventually how much CSR is going to be going into the allocation. So my expectation would be that there is going to be approximately 5 to 6 billion CSR that will be eventually burned, meaning that there will be somewhere around 4 to 5 billion CSR that will eventually be part of the circulation. Obviously, for example, right now we have a fantastic large bonus, the biggest bonus that we've ever done. And those bonus CSRs are not going to come to the customers until 80 weeks from now. So we have to take these into account when we look at the final amount that's going to be in circulation. So whatever the final amount is doesn't really mean that even those are already out there, but they will eventually be part of the total circulation. Now, once we know this total amount, we're obviously going to then post it everywhere. It's going to be on the website. And from that moment onwards, there is a major countdown that's going to start. And that means that from every day when more and more CSR is being retired, and when more and more CSR is being purchased by Corsair as a part of its buyback program, this number of circulation is going to start to become smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, when we look at CSR in general today, we can clearly say that CSR is very much undervalued. The fact that the CSR plastic credit today is trading at around 1.3 cents. When we compare that, for example, to the general market price of plastic credits, is very much undervalued. But that is actually a very good thing, and I'll explain you why. But before I go to that, let me just highlight something. Whatever the market value for the CSR is today, and I really want to highlight this, is 100% non-important. It is not important. And you are going to realize this one soon, why I say that and what do I mean. The fact that CSR is undervalued is a major opportunity for us. Because as you mentioned there earlier, Thomas, these new regulations that are now coming into play, these regulations are going to require that companies must take responsibility of their plastic waste footprint. And when you have companies, major companies, and you know the ones that I'm referring to here, which with some of them we've already formed strategic partnerships with, but we cannot yet release them to the public. This will happen shortly. But these companies are looking at plastic credits from the entire market. And there are plastic credits today which are trading for an average rate of somewhere between $3 to $5 per kilo. And CSR being a fraction of that is a very, very good thing, because that also then attracts more companies that need larger volumes of offsets, where they can use the CSR at a much more cheaper way to offset their footprint. So whatever the price of the CSR is in the market today is very insignificant, because it will go up in value. And the real countdown will really begin from the beginning of the year, when there will no longer be additional CSR allocated for distribution. And the fact that we are undervalued actually opens up a lot of opportunities for us, because, as I said, companies will be able to acquire CSR cheaper than they would have to pay for other plastic credits at this very moment. And I can promise you guys, this is not going to be a situation that's going to stay like this for a long period of time. This is going to change very quickly. Now, the total amount of CSR, which is currently in all of the exchanges in the world, primarily, obviously, La Token, is only approximately 20 million CSR. So if we think about the total amount of CSR plastic credits which are stored in the exchanges, in number of wallets inside an exchange, the total amount which is not already today purchased back by Corsair is only about 20 million CSR. As an example of this, we are currently negotiating with a company in Italy that is looking to eliminate and to offset somewhere between 12 to 14 million kilos of plastic. 12 to 14 million kilos. That means that this company alone would need approximately 120 to 140 million CSRs. Just one company. And if you now consider the fact that there is about 20 million CSR altogether in the exchange, it's not even enough for this one company. And 12 million kilos is not a lot. It's not a massive amount of plastic for a major corporation. So this just puts things into perspective. So, for example, if we would go right now today and want to buy 20 million CSR from the exchange, it would push the price probably to 10 euro or $10 per token. It wouldn't be even feasible. So that's why the fact that CSR is undervalued, that is actually our benefit. But at the same time, as I said, it is 100% insignificant, whatever the CSR price will be in December 2024, because that's going to change very quickly. And as you can see here, the proper market value for CSR should be approximately 30 to 50 cents per token. This is based on the actual general plastic credit market, which is today ranging from around $3 to $5 per kilo. So what is going to happen is that once there is no more allocation, once the total circulation that will ever exist is set and is finished, there's only one way that the price is going to go. Of course, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, there's going to be maybe this price moving this way. Sure, it's a trading, it's an open market, and the market price will live. But when we look at the long-term trend, starting from the beginning of January into the future, you are going to see a very steady growth, because there's going to be more and more and more demand coming onto the market, while at the same time, the circulation is going to become smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, what can we expect then to happen? Well, as I said before, we can expect a steady growth in value, like gold in the background. And at some point, there is going to be a ceiling that will have to be broken. And this is something that is going to be very interesting for all of the holders of the original CSR. And for you guys, let me just explain a little bit about the background, why we wanted to structure things in a way that we have done. If you think about CSR only as a plastic credit, I think we can all agree that there is a maximum price that a company is willing to pay for their plastic waste to be removed from the environment. And right now, it's somewhere between $3 to $5 a kilo. But if that cost would, for example, be 100 euros, $100 a kilo, it would be too much. Companies would not want to pay, and something would come in, and the regulations would need to change, or some other ways would come up if you would have to pay a massive amount for the plastic removal. So there's going to be a point where the plastic credit market is going to hit a limit, where it's like, okay, we are willing to pay maybe $10 a kilo, but that's it. Like, we're not going to pay more than that. Now, for us, as the developers of the original CSR, and obviously as the holders of CSR that we all here are, that is, of course, a good thing, but at the same time, it's a bad thing, because we would like the CSR to grow beyond any limits. We don't want there to be any kind of a limitation, any kind of a ceiling where the value can develop and then never go beyond that. And also for us in the management of the company, and when we were developing the CSR, we wanted to build the CSR to become a way how the true pioneers can also be rewarded. You guys and the early adopters, our first customers, and the members of the Ampliable network that have worked so hard all over the world to make all of this happen, are to be rewarded and need to be rewarded And the easiest way to do that is from the value creation of the CSR plastic credit. So that's why we wanted to combine the mechanisms where the CSR is focusing on being a plastic credit, but at the same time, there is a other element to it, which holds no limits on how valuable it would become. And this is why we decided to involve the buyback program, where from every single liter that Corsair is producing and selling, about 10% of that sales income will be placed into a buyback program to buy CSR from the market at any price that anybody is willing to sell. And combination of these two elements means that the entire plastic credit market is going to grow because of the regulations that are coming into play and because of the companies that are joining now in and starting to offset their plastic waste footprints. But at the same time, there's going to be more and more and more purchase demand coming into the market from the production and the sales of the Corsair oil. And that means that at some point, this ceiling is going to be broken. And there's almost going to be like a, you could say like a decoupling in a way, where CSR will always continue to be a plastic credit, but it will now also become a store of value. And this means that we are going to see a very, very different type of value development for CSR from this moment onwards. Because once speculators see that this CSR plastic credit is now directly involved in also in the oil sales and production that Corsair is doing, and with its increasing production of oil, that means that the value of the CSR is going to continue to grow in the background. That's where we are going to have a very different type of investors and speculators now coming involved and starting to use the CSR as a tool for speculations and investments. And that's where you could say that, as an example, what we've seen to happen with gold. So gold is obviously a metal that can be used in a number of electronics, for example. You could put gold into your cell phone and it could be used there, and some computers and some of the electronics even still today, they use gold. But there is also cheaper options to do that. There is aluminum or other metals that we can use instead of gold. So like gold, CSR will always continue to be a plastic credit, but it also has an additional element to it, which is being a store of value, exactly like gold in this example. So this is what we can expect to happen for the original CSR. And that also means that there is really no limit of how valuable the original CSR can become. There's no limit. You have seen our global expansion plan, or of how we are looking to build our factories in different parts of the world. And obviously, we have a very ambitious target. Our target is that we would be able to produce in the coming years as much as 1 billion liters of advanced bio oil per year from these different factories around the world. Now, if you think that this 1 billion liters is a too ambitious one, I will show you another alternative option. But if we do reach this target, first of all, by us producing these 1 billion liters a year, will only and only be satisfying about 1% of the global demand for our product today. I'm sure you've heard this before, but let me just highlight this. The global demand for pyrolysis oil, which meets the requirements of quality by the largest petrochemical companies in the world and is certified under the ISCC certification, like Corsair's oil is. Today, the global demand for this product is approximately 100 billion liters a year. And the global production today is somewhere around 40 million liters a year. So we're looking at a gap between supply and demand from 40 million to about 100 billion liters a year. Not just one time, every year. And if we can reach this ambitious goal of being able to produce a 1 billion liter a year, we will only be satisfying 1% of the market. But what does it mean in terms of the buyback? It means that in that case, because we sell this product today for approximately $1 a liter, that means that about $100 million will be placed into the buyback program every year. And that means that the money that goes into the buyback will be spent every month on the open markets to buy back the CSR at any price whichever anybody wants to sell. We don't care if somebody wants to sell the CSR for 1.5 cents or 2.5 cents or 5 cents or 10 cents or $1, whatever. Doesn't matter. We will spend that money every single month to buy back as much CSR as we can. And then next month, we'll buy again, and we'll buy again, and we'll buy again, and we'll buy again. And this circulation, which is already becoming smaller and smaller and smaller because of the companies that are soon legally required to offset their plastic waste footprints, is now becoming even faster, smaller, to do the buybacks that we're doing. But if you think that the 1 billion liter a year is too ambitious, if that seems like, I don't know, guys, I don't know if this is going to happen. So then let's consider an option that we would only be able to reach 10% of that target. We would only be able to produce in the coming years, not today, but in the coming years. Instead of 1 billion liters, we would be producing 100 million liters. That means that we would be generating about $100 million in annual revenue, out of which about $10 million would now go into the buyback program. About $1 million a month. Again, going into the buyback to buy the CSR at any rate. Now, keep this in mind. When we look at the fact that one Corsair facility, one individual factory is able to produce approximately 10 million liters per year. So in order for us to reach this 10% target, we would need altogether 10 facilities, somewhere, anywhere around the world. Well, let's look at this. We already have 2 in Bangkok, which are soon going to reach their full capacity. Finland, that L-shaped building in Jämsä, is capable of holding 5 factories. 1 is being developed at the moment. 4 will be developed in the same location. We've already informed you guys that we are doing 1 in Canada, 1 in USA, 1 in Netherlands. That's already 10. Plus, we got so many more facilities coming up here in Thailand. I've already informed and advised our project development team here in Thailand that our target now needs to be to have at least 25 factories here in Thailand alone. Thailand has more than 2,000 landfills. Thailand produces about 3 billion kilos of plastic waste per year. 3 billion. So if we calculate the fact that 25 factories will be able to process about 12 million kilos, that means that we will be able to process about 300 million kilos. 300 million out of 3 billion. So with 25 factories, we have the capacity to process about 10% of what amount of plastic waste is produced here in Thailand alone. So you see where this is going, guys. Now, that means that it is very likely that we are going to have 10 factories around the world. Probably we're going to have, as I said, 25, 30 factories here in Thailand alone, plus everything else around the world. But that would mean that there would now be about $1 million a month with these 10 factories going into the buyback to buy the CSR back, which is available only in a limited numbers. So the reality is that there is very limited amount of CSR in circulation. Sometimes people ask me that, aren't we worried that these bonuses that we're giving now, we're going to be inflating the market, there's going to be too much CSR? No, there is too little CSR on the market. Think about it. If just one company, which is not even a large-scale company, needs more than 100 million, just one company, they will buy that. And that's, by the way, that's per year. We're talking about a multi-year agreement. There's not enough plastic credits on the market today, including CSR and all the other plastic credits for by what is needed. And that's a fact, guys. So we need more plastic credits into the market. But at the same time, like I said before, we want the original CSR to be a unique opportunity which only came out once and was only available for the people that heard through the Amplivo network about its existence and about its opportunity and what it can bring to the lives of the people. And at the same time, we can use the original CSR as a store of value to award and reward, recognize the people that helped to make all of this possible, which is you guys. So that's why the CSR value is so significant in its development for the future. So we've spoken a lot about CSR. What about CSR 25 then? So what can we expect? What's going to happen next? And now there is a reason why everybody's focus right now is on the original CSR, because this truly is the last moment when customers around the world will be able to get their hands on the original CSR by buying the plastic waste removal service. And once it's done, it's done. It's there. It's never going to be done again. It's never going to happen again. And with everything that we just spoke through, how the value creation of the CSR is going to be, I said earlier there that the proper market value for CSR right now should be somewhere between 30 to 50 cents. I think personally, what is going to happen is that once the allocation ends, we are going to see a steady development to those levels of 30 to 50 cent. And then there's going to be a general growth of the entire plastic credit market, which will happen next year. and the price for all the plastic credits will sort of take a balance. It will all kind of like stabilize, and there will be a one united market price, and that will probably go up. I would expect it to be probably going up to somewhere in the range of maybe $6 to $7 per kilo, which basically means around 60-70 cents for CSR. But at some point, as I said, there's going to be that ceiling. Is it at $6 a kilo? Is it $7? Is it $10? We'll see. But I believe that there will be eventually in the future almost like an overnight change when CSR will jump from whatever the market value at that moment is. It's going to decouple, as I explained before, and then from there, it's going to jump very quickly to prices over $1. That's where I see definitely going. And once we hit $1 a token, dollar per CSR, then after that, we enter into an exploration phase. After that, there's no limit. And it will always continue to be a plastic credit. But after that, it will be more as a store of wealth. It will become a speculative tool for a lot of investors on the market. And with the increasing amount of oil being produced, with the increased buybacks, that means that circulation is going to become smaller and smaller and smaller, and the price is going to continue to grow. That's basically what's going to happen. So let's talk about CSR25 then. It's very important that we keep our focus now as an Amplivo network. We keep our focus on the original CSR until the end of the year. But what will happen right after New Year is that we're going to do the change of focus to CSR25. And I can already now predict, and let's see how accurate I get this one. I predict that within about 30 to 60 days, the general focus from everybody is going to be on CSR25. And I'll explain you why. When the CSR25 is going to be launched, as you know, it is going to be minted on a monthly basis. It means that on day one, there is no CSR25 in circulation. Zero. The first CSR25s that will be released will be in the beginning of February. Now, think about this for a moment. The original CSR has been around since March 2021, almost 4 years. And during that time, there's obviously been, especially if compared to CSR25 and that one being zero, there's been significant amount of allocation. We are talking about a few billion tokens. That's why what I'm saying is that the value creation, the value development for the CSR is going to be steady, and it's going to be long-term in the background. Now, in the case of CSR25, when the first CSR25s are released to the market, there will be very, very small amount of CSR25s in existence. At the same time, there will be a large amount of money only already coming from the mandatory purchase pool with the Amplivo members that needs to be spent on the market to buy CSR to the members. This means that, without now giving any investment advice here, I think what we can expect to happen is that the the value of CSR25, which is going to be listed on the same value that the original CSR will be at that time. While the original CSR is going to develop very steadily and slowly on the background, the CSR25 is going to go up like this. It's going to shoot up. And especially from your customer's point of view and from the point of view of new clients, that is going to be so exciting. That is going to be so attractive for anybody to get involved. Because if, for example, the market price for CSR25 after its release for the trading is, for example, 20 cents, but the Amplivo network is offering it, for example, for 1.3 cents. You see that difference? And then every week, the value or the price of the service that Amplivo network is offering is going to be increasing, but the market price is going to be so much higher because there's so much more demand while the supply is very, very limited. We're going to explain this in much, much more detail for you guys later, but I want you to realize that because of the fact that there is very, very little original, so very little CSR25s on the circulation starting from January and February, while there's already demand of money that needs to be spent to buy those CSRs back, there's simply not enough CSR25s. The actual concern that we have is that how do we control the price for it not to go too crazy right away from the beginning? That's an actual more practical concern when it comes to CSR25. So CSR25 is going to be very attractive. I think we're going to see altogether a fantastic end of the year with the original CSR, which truly is one of a kind and unique. But first thing in January, when we change the allocation in the Amplivo packages to no longer include the original CSR, but now to be CSR25s, you're going to start to see so much excitement coming from people, because the charts and the market, how the value development for the CSR25 is going to go, it's going to be very quick. Whereas the original CSR is going to be developing in the background and growing in value. So obviously the CSR25, we're going to be talk about that one in more detail. It will be audited monthly and quarterly, monthly or quarterly, depending on the project. It's going to be generated from a number of different plans and also many of our contributing partners. What I can tell you guys today, we are going to make an official announcement about this later, but we are actually even bringing now a second additional auditor, additionally to Sud. There is going to be now a company called Control Union, which is a 100-year-old auditing firm operating all over the world. They are now becoming involved with the CSR plastic credit as well. We are going to be working with them in physical on-site audits from around the world in different sites where plastics are being recycled. And they have a very good team around the world that can do on-site audits. And we're going to bring them to work alongside with Sud as well. So this will bring also more credibility, more transparency, more trustworthiness to the CSR program. So as I said before, everybody's going to be focusing on CSR25 within 30 to 60 days. And while this all happens, in the background, the CSR, the original CSR, will continue to grow. And okay, Now, imagine this. I'll give you an example, and I see this happening so many times, where there is a new kind of a crypto scam coming out every month, every week, probably every day. And what is so amazing to me is that I'm going to stop my sharing right now. Sorry, I've been sort of staring down here, everybody. Anyway, so what is so amazing and mind-blowing to me is that we see these crypto scams coming out from all over the world all the time. And I can't wrap my head around it, how people again and again and again always go for those new products. It's crazy. Either it means that people have too much money, that they simply don't care about their money, or there is some kind of a fundamental desire in us that, hey, we want to be right there in the beginning. We want to be the first one, right? And you know, I'm sure you guys know what I mean. And how many times have you received a phone call from a friend of yours, a colleague, or somebody that you know? They call you and they go, hey, Thomas, I got a great thing for you. You have to hear this thing. This is the next big thing. And then they say, and yes, okay, I know the last thing I called you, it didn't work. I understand. It didn't work. But this is the one. You have to believe me. This is the one. Right? I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, these guys that are calling, they will call you from one failure after another failure. They go from one failure to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And there's always some story why the previous one didn't work. But this is the one, right? Now, what is going to happen, guys, with the CSR 25 and with the future annual plastic credits of CSR 26, 27, 28, 29 is going to be that you will be able and your teams will be able to make that call. But this time, that call will sound a lot different. That call is going to be like, hey, Thomas, you remember the thing I told you before? Yeah, that's going great, but you know that already. Okay, CSR is growing in value. It's in the back. Well, anyway, I'm not going to bore you. You know that's been an amazing success story. I'm sorry that you didn't have the opportunity to be involved in that or didn't be involved in that in big enough way. But don't worry, because you know what? CSR 25 is here. And we are going to be able then, coming to the end of the year, you guys are going to see now, during this month of December, you are going to experience as leaders something very exciting. I think that a lot of Amplivo leaders are actually going to earn this month of December more in 1 month than you have earned during the entire year. It's almost like we see so many times on our weekly cycles, we see that on Friday, people are waking up to the promotion of the week. And so many people are waiting until the very end of the week, even to the last minutes of the week, to buy their package. It's unbelievable, right? You had the entire week, 7 days to do it, but you decide that 30 minutes before, okay, let me do it. Again, it's just how the human nature works. Eventually, the reality is that for a lot of people, the fear of missing out is much stronger than the will and the desire to achieve something more. It's like, yeah, we want to make this thing, but oh my God, I cannot miss out on the opportunity. What if it worked? What if this is the thing? That's the biggest fear for so many people. And again, well, I can tell you, there's a lot of people that are telling stories, looking at what's happening what happened to Bitcoin now. There's a lot of people saying out there, yeah, I used to have them, or I heard about it back in the day. Yeah, that's all good. But how many you still have? How many are you holding at the moment? You know, and people are so terrified of missing out on that opportunity. Now, imagine this. We are now going to enter into this annual cycle where in the beginning of every year, there is going to be the new annual CSR, which is not going to be a new CSR following a failure, but instead it will be a success following another success. It's like you would basically say, hey, yeah, we just completed building these, or we completed building a house, and now we're going to be building 10 houses more. And the old house is there, it's successful, you can see it, it's standing, the owner is happy, and now we're just doing more of it. And when we come to the end of the year, I shouldn't really ruin the surprise, but I'm going to let you guys in on a bit of a secret here. We've always said that the original CSR is the only CSR that will be part of the buyback program. Well, at least for now. What if at the end of next year, we announce around November, for example, October, we say, you know what? Let's add the CSR 25 into the buyback program as well. And a couple months from now, finished, no longer available. We're going to have this cycle of introducing something new and great following a success in the beginning of every year, and then ending up with a huge rush towards the end of the year. This is the cycle that we're going to enter now. And all those people that always want to be first in, they want to be part of something new, fantastic. This is your chance to be part of something new every January. And make sure that you get involved by the end of the year, because that project is going to be finished. Now, for you, that's important to understand, because you obviously want to know how the future of the Amplivo network is going to look like. And like I said before, in the next 30 to 60 days, everybody's focus is going to be on CSR 25. And I know it's going to be a little bit, maybe there's going to be a little bit things to learn in the beginning, but don't worry. We're all going to be figuring this one out in a matter of a couple of weeks. It'll all make sense. All right. We'll get whatever things we need to iron them out, we will iron them out. Okay. And it's going to all work perfectly. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. I know that we are going to, whatever we as a company, as a team, as a community generate in sales this year, we're going to at least double or triple that one during next year. And when we talk about the buyback program, I'm going to go back to the slides for a second here. Okay, over here. All right. Can you see again, Thomas? Can you see two slides?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So now the buyback program, why is this so important? Now, some people have asked before that, why is Corsair buying back the CSR? First of all, this is the way for us to reward the early adapters, the pioneers in our business, the people that have, well, first of all, everybody who actually acquired a plastic waste neutrality package and got their hands on the original CSR, everyone is a pioneer. Everybody who came in during the first 4 years is really a pioneer in this. That's the easiest way to say it. But the people that came in on the first stages and the people like yourselves who are leaders in the Amplify network and that have been able to accumulate more CSR will receive those awards for long, long into the future. And the buyback program is just one way of doing that. Now, from the company point of view, this is not just something that we're giving away money and buying back the CSR. No, there's a very, very important reason for that. And let me explain why. Now, as a company, Corsair Group is planning on entering into the public markets, entering into the stock markets during the next 36 months. Okay? Normally, companies going to the stock market is because they need to raise a lot of capital. That's usually the reason why companies go to the stock market. They go there so that they can get access to more money so that they can build their business and scale their business. To be honest, already now today, and I think especially after 36 months, we don't really need to go to the stock market for that reason. And some people would even argue, why do we go there to begin with? Why do we go to the stock market? The reason for doing that is that it allows us to, first of all, move into the super expressway, the super highway of where big companies are operating. When we are a publicly traded company, it puts us into a different bracket of businesses in the world. And now our value in the stock market is also valued by the people, not what we say that it is. The other reason to do this is that this, again, gives us another way of rewarding the pioneers that were involved in building this company. And when Corsair is buying CSR from the open market, this CSR is an asset of the company. The CSR that are part of the buyback program are going to go into a wallet, which will be publicly shared, and everybody will be able to see real time how much CSR goes in that wallet, and also to see that nothing ever comes out of that wallet. It will be always there in that wallet. It won't be burned, because burning it means that we didn't have access to it. There's a very important reason, and I'll explain this to you in a minute. But it will go on a specific treasury wallet where it will be held by the company. But because it's there, it is now an asset of the company. Exactly like the assets, like the factories we own, the buildings we own, the machines we own, and so on. And when the value of the company, Corsair, is being calculated, the value of the CSR that we hold in our wallet will be part of that valuation. So the reality is that the more CSR Corsair has that it bought from the market, that means that more asset it has, and the more valuable that the CSR is, now the more valuable is the stock price of Corsair in a stock exchange. So by us buying more CSR from the market, we are making the CSR becoming more valuable, which means that the amount of CSR that we have in the wallet is now growing in value, which means that now the company is more valuable, which means that now the stock price goes higher. You see how that works together. And if Corsair today, after 4 years, this is an unofficial valuation, but this is done by a professional evaluator. Don't quote me on this one yet. We will be coming out soon with the official valuation. It could be a lot less. We might even intentionally make it less. But the current valuation of Corsair, everything that we have in place right now, is somewhere approximately $200 million. That's the entire business. That's the Amplify network, CSR, the factories, everything that we're doing right now. And of course, that is built also on expectation of future. But when we go to the stock market, we have a target to have a listing value of between $3 to $5 billion. So that means that the company is going to be significantly more valuable than what it is today. And one way to do this is obviously build a lot of assets where the more valuable the CSR is and the more CSR Corsair has is going to bring us much, much more closer to the targeted listing valuation. And obviously, talking about going public, the Corsair Capital public company is going to be the first step for us to do this. And we are going to start to talk about this in January. We're going to launch it for public in February. And what is very important for you guys is to know, as was introduced at the Vision 24 here in Bangkok, is that you as an Amplivo leader advancing on your star ranking program is going to receive shares in Corsair Capital, which is the same as owning shares in the entire group. You will be able to receive ownership in the entire group by just simply continuing to do what you're doing today, by building your team. When you build your team, when you advance on your star ranking career program, you will continue to earn more and more and more shares and ownership in the company. That's it. We built something together, we own it together, and we will make history together. Now, I don't know if there is really ever been something like this with such an amazing time. When you think about, with all the regulations that is coming into effect, what's happening in the world right now, and what's the situation of plastic waste, the increase of plastic production globally, there's never been a timing like this where we have the entire community involved. And what we have in our hands, ladies and gentlemen, is something so unbelievably unique. And it's not something that is owned by a small group of people somewhere in the ivory towers, scheming away their little thing between a few selected people. No, this is the opportunity that is belonging to the people. This is our opportunity. This is our time. And we are in the very epicenter of this new massive revolution, which is going to happen. And I know that I've been talking a lot about money today, but it's important that we realize that. But when we talk about earnings, when you talk about bonuses, when you talk about Amplivo, in the background with every single euro that you are earning, we're helping to clean the planet. And we're helping to change the lives of so many different people around the world. I just 2 days ago, I was in touch with Friso and Greg, who run the Bangkok Community Help over here. You guys know that I've been traveling for many, many weeks, so I got back to Bangkok. So I called up to Friso and I said, how is it going there in the collection center that we are doing, where we are buying plastic every week, every day from the people that are coming from the slum area. And he said people are so excited about it. I said, great. How do we extend that? How do we make it extend 10 times more? Where do we build another 9 collection centers? Let's do that. Let's increase the price that we're paying for the plastic, and let's open up 9 other collection centers. Let's get everything bigger. Like, now is the time for us to go big. We've been proving ourselves. We've been perfecting our process. And with everything that we've achieved together during this year, now we've also accumulated resources where now we can go out there and we can do everything and more of what we've ever dreamed about that we wanted to do. And yes, the money is the result of that. But the purpose and the reason why we're doing that is because we have a solution. We have a solution to actually do what everybody's talking about. We're not just talking about it. We're there every single day doing it. And that is what is so powerful with this community that we have. And that's why every single one of you guys is going to be awarded handsomely for the work that we're doing for this planet. That's our reward. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. I think that's pretty much what we can expect to happen. And, as always, I can feel the energy from you guys. It's great to see you guys here. I'm so excited. I mean, this is going to be such a fantastic end of the year. It's going to be busy. Don't get me wrong. We've told everybody there's no Christmas and New Year this year. We're going to be doing that sometime in later in January. Like, we got no time. I'm all excited about the last days of December. Wayne is terrified. He is absolutely terrified. He's the one who has to be there with the support team, try to make this one, work through all the holidays and everything. Yeah, bless him. Anyway, we'll pull through this one. But like I said, there's no Christmas and New Year holiday this year. It's gonna be somewhere late January for us. But this is gonna be an amazing. And guys, if and when this works out, I gotta warn you, it's gonna be the same thing every year from now on. So maybe we'll set up our own date for these holidays. We'll do end of January. We'll all get together somewhere, do our own celebrations, our own holiday at the end of January. Maybe that will become the new tradition. Who knows? But yeah, that's what's going to happen, guys. And I'm really, really excited to be doing this together with you guys. We're all working very hard, as Thomas said, but we're so excited. And for me, I've never slept a lot. I'm not a guy who really sleeps a lot every night. I'm fairly okay. Well, last night I slept an hour and a half, and we're here. I just love what we're doing right now. Like, I don't want to go to sleep. It's like you feel like it's so awesome to be doing what we're doing right now that I don't want to go to sleep.